Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here for the Glenlake Pump Station Bypass Improvements Project meeting. We're happy to present the project to you tonight and answer your questions. I'm Emily Chancellor, and I am with Austin Water's Public Information Office. And I'm going to work on getting to the next slide here. So our agenda for tonight, we'll start with welcome and logistics. Our project team will make their introductions, and then our project manager will give an overview of the project. And then we'll take questions from attendees, and we'll answer your questions, and then we'll conclude the meeting. So once again, welcome. We typically have these kind of meetings in person. We're obviously doing them virtually these days because of the pandemic. Our project team is working mostly from home, so you'll see us coming from different locations. You may hear some noise in the background. I know some of us are juggling caring for children, and I always find that at the most crucial moment in the meeting, someone's dog starts barking. So we'll work through those things as best we can. There is a chat box. You should see the image here on the screen, and on your screen, you should see over to the side where you can click the button that says Ask a Question. And so you can start entering your questions now during the presentation or at the end when we have the Q&A session. And our project team will answer your questions during this meeting. If we don't have the information, then we'll get back with you and answer it later. And if you have specific questions about your property, then you're always welcome to type that in and put your contact information, and we'd be glad to follow up with you later if you have questions that you want us to work with you one-on-one for. And I just want to mention that Elizabeth Ferrer, my colleague who works in the Public Information Office at Public Works, is helping to produce this meeting. And if we have any technical glitch, she'll take over and help facilitate. And if you have a technical glitch and you aren't able to hear or view the whole meeting, feel free to reach out to me. This is not the only opportunity to get this information, and we'll be glad to work with you later if you need help getting the information. So that kind of covers our logistics, and we'll start with introductions and ask our project manager to introduce herself first.
Good evening, everyone. Oops, let me turn on my camera. My name is Demira Wyatt, and I'm the project manager from the Public Works Department from the City of Austin. And now I'll move it over to Mr. Carlos Lopez.
Hello, good evening, everybody. My name is Carlos Lopez. I'm Engineer Construction Coordinator with Public Works. I'll be on site during the construction of the project. Hand it over to Mr. Tiger.
Good evening, I'm Tiger Davis. I'm an engineer with Facility Engineering for Austin Water, and I'm the sponsor of trying to make sure that the project keeps moving in the right direction. And I forgot to, and I'm sorry, next is 2 Cal. I'm sorry.
Good evening. My name is Tukal. I am the engineer of record for this project. I work for Engineering Service Division, Public Works Department. So I let Mr. Avino Roses introduce himself.
So we do have on the line also Alvino Rosales, who's representing the contractor. Are you able to speak, Mr. Rosales? Okay, well, we'll try to get him on the line later when we're doing the Q&A session. And then I did introduce myself. I'm Emily Chancellor. I handle communications for our construction projects here at Austin Water. So I work with neighborhoods throughout the city while we're working to improve infrastructure and expand our system to meet our customers' needs. I'm happy to be here with you tonight, and now we're going to hand it back over to our project manager and let her give you an overview of the project.
Thank you all for coming in tonight. Oops, let me turn on my calendar, my video. I'm sorry if I'm showing, I'm trying to make better light. Okay, the project overview. The project purpose is to improve reliability of water service in this area by creating looping in the water pipelines, eliminating the need for the pump station, and installing fire hydrants to enhance fire protection. And the project is going to install about 1,000 linear feet of new water line, gate valves, fire hydrants, air release valves, a pressure reducing valve, a meter vault, and a pressure point station. And we're also going to remove about 96 linear feet of 8-inch asbestos cement pipe. Also with that, the project consists of the project gonna construct a ductile iron water main connecting to 2 different water pressure zones to provide redundant water service to the area. Currently, 16 residents receive water from the pump station. A back loop to this area provides flow to the residents and backup flow to the other residents downstream. Flow meters are proposed and as part of the Austin's leak detection program. Instrumentation, supervisory control, and data acquisition, which is and appurtenances are proposed to provide automatic digital data transmission, to Austin Water Central Command Station to help quickly identify unusual high water demand, which will indicate potential break. The existing water tanks and pump house will be decommissioned and removed from the property. The project is primarily in the City of Austin right-of-way, and during construction, detours and proposed for lane and intersection closures will be administered, and there will at no time be a situation where you all have no access to your properties. Delaying execution of this contract, it would prolong or substandard facilities and could result in the disruption of water service of the residents. So that's why this is an important project for the water utility. Emily, would you like to go back to say anything else?
No, I just had the map up now. Do you want to kind of describe the map a little bit?
Oops. Okay, I'm trying to pull up my screen. Oh, sorry. Two, would you like to go in and think about the map of where the locations exactly are?
Yeah, I think the project we will mainly install the 12 water line. That in the map is so the green line, that's the water main, and then connect the water main to the exit pump station, and we will install 2 fire hydrants, one in the narrow ridge drive, one in the cul-de-sac of the Glenlake, and we will after the install, we will temporarily remove the big tank first, and then we install the PRV and flow meter. And after finish install and connect to the water main, we will demolition the small tank. And then the last step is to remove the asbestos cement pipe under pavement.
Okay, and Mr. Are any of the contractors online, or would you, Mr. Tiger, like to go in and explain anything that is pertinent to where the residents should understand any type of information as we move forward?
Do we have a contractor available? Going once, going twice? Or I'll be happy to step
I
in.
see two numbers, but I just
Can you hear
don't
me?
I just don't know
We do now.
the numbers are there.
Demir, I think they
Okay,
just came
thank
online.
you.
Okay, so you can
Thank
hear
you,
me?
sir.
Please go ahead.
We hear you. We hear you. Please move forward.
Oh, okay. Okay, I just want to say that as far as accessibility, I don't see that any of the residents. The water line goes on the edge of the road, so they'll have plenty of room to get by. And it's just going to be the water line that's going to be on the street. Most of the other work is inside the pump station site, so that won't affect anyone.
Thank you. We do have a couple of slides here about what to expect during construction. Tamira, would you like for me to present those? Or can you come back
That
to?
will be fine. And
Okay.
I can chime in if there's anything I need to add. Thank you very much, Emily.
Sure. I'll be glad to cover these. So just an overview, the contractor will use heavy equipment to dig the trenches for the new water lines. The road will be patched after the water line is installed, and then all the roads will be repaved at the end of the project. So you'll see them making progress in sections. They will patch it after they get the line installed, and then there will be repaving at the end. Most of the work is in the right-of-way. Sometimes the right-of-way is a section that's just at the edge of your lawn, and so we just want to make you aware that the work will be there in the road and at times in the right-of-way. If you ever have a question about where that is, you can also contact us, and the inspector, Carlos, who will be out there, would always be able to talk with you about that. And then I think it's already been mentioned that they will close a section of the road to do the construction, but you'll be able to pass, and we will make sure that you have access to your property when they are needing to work in front of your driveway to install the water line in front of your driveway. They will, the contractor or our project inspector will coordinate with you. They'll let you know so you can move your vehicle, and we want to make sure that you have access when you need it. For folks who are along the new water line, at some point the water will be turned off temporarily for your service line to be connected to the new water main. We will give you 48 hours notice with a flyer left on your front door, and we'll coordinate with you. That's typically 1 day for some few hours. There could be emergency outage. Sometimes when we're doing construction, lines break. And if there isn't a break in the line, then it will be treated as an emergency and your water will be restored as quickly as possible. And then we have on the slide here the work hours that are in the contract for this project. And we just want to mention that we are aware of course, of the COVID-19 situation. Austin Water construction projects support critical infrastructure, and so we are able to continue these activities during this pandemic. There are significant safety requirements that are in place for all of our contractors and our city workers during this time, including wearing face coverings and maintaining a 6-foot physical distance when at all possible. Sites that have more than 10 active workers have to stagger their shifts, and all work days begin with safety briefings and reminders about COVID-19 safety requirements, and a check for all the personal protective equipment that the workers need. Hand washing is required, and there must be a hand washing station there at the site. And work sites also have to provide single-use disposable paper towels and no-touch trash receptacles. So we are working safe and looking to make sure that we continue to do that. So I'm going to shift gears just for a moment to make you aware about an unrelated project, but a project that Austin Water has underway and that will be in your neighborhood soon. It's called MyETX Water, Austin's Smart Water Meter System. And we did kick off a pilot project this summer, and the Glenlake area, you're some of the lucky ones to be in our pilot project. So there's 5,000 customers who are in this pilot who will receive their new meters first in the city. And this project will replace our analog water meters with electronically read meters that are connected to a wireless network. We'll also have a customer portal, that's a tongue twister, a customer portal that customers can get their water use data. So on a daily basis, you'll be able to log in and see how much water you've used, and you'll be able to sign up for alerts so that if you're exceeding a certain amount or if the system detects that you might have a leak, you'll be able to get an alert. So we're looking forward to providing this improvement to our customers. And I wanted to just mention it to you since you'll be seeing us out in your area in the coming months to make these installations. So when it is coming to your area, we'll be mailing information to you and also providing information on your door after your meter has been installed. If you want to see more about that, you can go to the project webpage, myetxwater.org. And this is just a little more information about the pilot. So it will be out in Glenlake and River Place area later this calendar year and early into 2021. So with that, we're now ready to answer your questions about the Glenlake Pump Station project. And I'm going to switch over here.
Emily, could I say something?
And just
Yes, absolutely.
one more thing. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, oh, you can go first. I just wanted to add more thing. So after you finish,
Okay.
Mr. Carlos, I'll say something.
Can you put the map of the water line back? I just want to let everybody know okay. As far as I know, the contractor will be starting on Big View Drive right there, and then they'll be heading, which will be like north on Narrow Ridge Drive. So a lot of the residents will start seeing a lot of the traffic control set up, and like I said, the traffic will still be able to go, in and out, but I just want to let everybody know that that's where the contract plans to start.
Thank you, Carlos. That's a good clarification. So I'm trying to point my mouse here.
Yeah, I know.
Big View Drive and Narrow Ridge Drive. So that's where the work will start, and then we'll proceed this direction with the water line installation.
That's correct. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, does anyone else on the project team have additional information to add before we start getting into the questions?
Yes, this is Tiger Davis.
Yes.
Can you?
Yes, go ahead, Tiger. Thank you.
I've heard a few concerns. One is traffic control. We will change a lane, but we won't restrict access to your home. And if we do need to for a few hours, you'll be given plenty of notice, and the anticipated time of any water outage while we switch over is very, very short. Also be aware, some people are concerned about their pressures. The pressures will generally improve, and the reliability is greatly improved due to a redundant source. And the line that's coming in, could you go back to the map again for one moment, please?
Yes.
I wish we could point remotely without taking control.
Yeah, I think that my mouse, yeah, if you'll describe it, I'll try to point it.
That's all right. Okay, so up there where it says proposed fire hydrant in the northern part, now follow that down just south of that line. You see that tree line? That's a fire access road, and a lot of the neighbors really enjoy having that, because at the end of Glenlake Drive, they hit that cul-de-sac down to your southwest. And I understand a lot of people like to cut from Narrow Ridge to Glenlake, and we don't really anticipate blocking that at all. We want to leave that open for what it was intended for, primarily as a emergency access egress. So traffic control, not a problem. Pressure's not going to be a problem. And then finally, in this transition, the reason we're starting up there at that Big View Narrow Ridge intersection is we need to tie into the two different systems before we do anything to start decommissioning the pump station and the hydropneumatic tank. So we're going to already have our backup before we start decommissioning the old system. That's all I have.
Yeah, that's great. Anyone else on the team want to make some comments before I start reading the questions?
Yes, ma'am. It's Demira. And I just wanted to say that with the instance of the just the private residential places, if there's anybody on the line, or there's certain places within the project, if there's anything that comes up where we're in your area and you may have property landscaping things that are in the right of way, please contact me and we'll work with you to get through those things. And if there's anything that comes up about, please contact me directly. I believe my cell phone number is on all of the information that's on the websites, and if not, I'll make sure Emily has those on there as well, because we would like to work with you all to make sure that you all maintain access at all times throughout the project, and also to just work through those little minute things that may come up to where you all may have landscaping things in your properties or areas, and just work through those. So if anything comes up, please feel free to give me a call on my cell phone or email me. But I'll make sure those are available to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so our first question is, because the traffic from Glenlake to Narrow Bridge is high, how will this intersection be kept safe? So from Glenlake to Narrow Bridge.
This is Tiger Davis. Again, that's actually a fire access road. The public is not restricted. There's no gate on it, but that road was fully intended to be an emergency egress road, and we want the neighbors to use it if everybody's happy with it. But the fact of the matter, that's not, as you can see, it's not a fully developed road, and it belongs to the neighborhood. Austin Water has no interest in the control of that, and we're certainly not going to block it. And we're going to try to keep it open the whole time. But as far as it being a high volume of traffic, I would suggest you work with your neighborhood association, and if it's considered it needs to be improvements, that would be something that the neighborhood can address at another point. But it really is kind of it's not a fully developed road.
Okay, and of course there is
And I would just like to also add that there's the aspect that we're working with Travis County emergency officials, as well as Emily notifying the neighborhood associations, as well as with the city of Austin. So there's different entities working together. So it would just be a matter of us working together to get all those things taken care of. But as Tiger said, it'll be a main thing where you work with your homeowners association. But we just want to be transparent and work with everyone. So if anything comes about, then please email me or call me, and I'll direct it toward either Emily or our more technical people in our Austin Water Utility sections to get you all the answer that you need. So we can try to work through everything before it escalates to any other level. And I also know there's a couple of phone calls that came through that I'm going to response phone call to as well.
Thank you. Our next question is, will this affect our water pressure? And I know we have staff from our systems planning at Austin Water. Nolan, I think maybe you would be best to explain the water pressure issues with this project.
Yes, one second. My camera on.
Yeah.
Yes, so it shouldn't affect water pressure except for the connections that was previously described. That would be the hour or so long connections. I'm not going to speak for the contractor on that part there. There is an area of the Glenlake area that is served by what we call a hydropneumatic system. So it's kind of where the blue line ends on the screen here. There is a tank and a pump station and a hydro tank at that area there. That serves approximately 17 homes. So as part of this project, we will be removing that hydro tank and pump system, but not until after this blue line is constructed, and this blue line will bring in higher pressure water from Big View Drive there, and the customers, the 17 customers that were on that hydro system, will be converted to this new blue line, which will be at relatively the same pressure, maybe slightly higher pressures. Then as far as the customers that are not the customers as part of the Glenlake system that are not those 17 customers, as was mentioned earlier, the mayor mentioned earlier, there's a pressure reducing valve station that will be put in at the end of that blue line, which will tie into the Glenlake system and provide this, it will reduce the pressure from the blue line to the pressure of the Glenlake system and provide a secondary connection to the Glenlake system. So that will be the Glenlake customers, pressure will remain unchanged. The 17 homes will change slightly, it's nothing extraordinary. They're definitely not going down. It'd be a slightly increase in their pressure.
Thanks, Nolan. Appreciate that. The next question is, will there be times that the 911 cut-through road is closed due to construction? And I think we've answered that we intend to keep it open during the construction. There also is a question, will you remove the water tanks when you recommission it? So who wants to address the water tanks?
This is Tiger. Yes, once the other system is fully hooked up, as Nolan just described, we will be pulling out the little pump control station, the water tanks, and the hydropneumatic tanks. Basically, almost everything is sitting there. We are going to be putting a pressure point so that we can monitor the condition, as was described in the beginning of this. We want to know if we get a sudden pressure drop, as we're sharing pressure dropping from one to another. It's more likely than anything the pressure reducing valve could fail and you might get a little extra pressure, but that's not going to happen either. It's almost going to be invisible except for the transition. Once we swap over, this is going to be basically what you had, but more reliable. That's all.
Thank you. The next question was again about the 911 drive remaining open. So I think we've addressed that. So Linda tells us we have a smart water meter and it works well, but the installation caused a bad leak. What is being done to make the installation robust? So I know some folks in this area were part of a very early pilot where Austin Water was first testing out these smart meters. So that may be what you're referring to. So Austin Water has hired a company, Aclara is our contractor who will be doing the new metering project. They are just getting started on installing the first handful of meters in the last few weeks. I know that Austin Water has specifications in that contract, and we also have an Austin Water staff who's out doing inspections and will respond if there's any issue with the installation. So we're working to make that a robust program, and we have also customer service folks available if there's an issue where you'll be able to call and get someone to come right out to address it. The next question is, what will happen to everything on the current pump station site, including the station and water tank, and who owns that lot?
Again, this is Tiger Davis. We will retain the property because we will have a pressure monitoring station there. Most of it will be removed, and I'm trying to remember, it's been a long time, about if we're going to leave up the fence or if it'll be empty enough to open up the fence and just let it become green space. I can answer that question later upon review, but it's basically going to completely change its structure. It's going to be much more returned to nature, but it still needs to be Austin Water property. We will have infrastructure that you can't see, but we need to maintain.
Thank you. How many trees will be removed along the 911 drive leg? Is someone on our team familiar with the trees that may need to be removed?
Not been anybody else. This is Tiger again. I don't recall, but we do have an environmental review that we go through. Sometimes we are working off of our most current knowledge, and we get out there and we're like, oh goodness, in the 5 or 10 years since we've seen this, another tree has grown in our way. We love the trees and we respect them, and we're going to keep every single one of them that we absolutely can. They will be marked. If an individual has a concern, we'll make notification if you care to, but there's nothing we can do one way or the other. If a tree is in the path within our right of way, we have to stay within our right of way legally. Then we will work as non-destructively as possible to get that water line in. But I don't have the exact count. But as you can see, that's probably gonna take some of the less mature trees down, the ones that are right along the edge of that emergency access road. But we are staying within our legal right of way. That's all.
And if I can add, this is the mirror, or I'm sorry, too, were you saying something? But I was just gonna say that there'll be a matter of us working with our Austin Water Utility Pipeline crew, and also our general permit staff, to make sure when they come out and do their inspections, and to make sure that everything is going as smoothly as provided in the beginning. And things change as we go out and get the permits and everything. So once those things come up, we'll work with you all, the community, and with all of our staff internally to make sure that we get those things, taken care of. Because there have been instances where there are trees that are larger. It may be a instance where we can go and uproot those trees and plant them in other places, but it just depends on just not having a tree with the roots. And I know too is gonna chime in on this one, as well as maybe the construction inspector, to make sure that we don't have any type of problems with maintenance in the future.
Yeah, I just add that beyond our plan, I can say there's a 2, 3. That's cedar. 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 2 cedar. One is 13 cedar in 30, and then 15 in cedar along the right. Along 911 driveway will be removed to install the water line.
So is that two trees that you've identified in the plans that will need to be removed?
Yes.
Okay. So like Tiger, I think Tiger said, sometimes once you get in the field, you see a little difference, but at this point, 2 trees we are aware of need to be removed. Thank you. Okay, we have one more question here.
And I would just like to, I'm like, Emily, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Just to keep a little note too, also before the contractor goes out and perform any work, we'll be going out and doing pre-construction photos of the areas of where we'll be working in for the construction. So there will be, photos to show what was out there beforehand and the progress that we're making as the progress moves forward. So if there's anything that comes about and we need to call in any other divisions or departments within our, city side, as far as like arborist or anything, then we'll make it known. And Emily, I'm sure she'll keep everybody up to date as we relate information to her of anything that comes about. So with the trees, then yeah, there'll be a thing too.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is, will the memorial to Ed Lind that is now in front of the tank on Glenlake Drive remain there? Is someone familiar with this memorial in front of the tank?
Yes, I think we after the project is finished, we will maybe the memorial maybe temporarily removed somewhere for the worker to work on that. But the end of the project, we will put back in the front of the side like before, as much as we can, as close as we can.
Okay, so it may need to be removed temporarily during the construction, but it will be restored as best we can at the end of the project. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And that's also that stipulation of the warranty period, where we'll be going in and making sure that the project is restored to a certain, I don't want to say the wrong things now, but we have a warranty period of a year to make sure that everything that was there before is equal or greater than what it was before. So that part will be taken care of Mr. Lopez as far as the construction inspector, and we'll be working with the construction with the design engineer and myself to make sure before the project is closed out that there are no outstanding issues as far as the as the project closed out post construction.
Thank you. I think Tiger has some comments to add to this.
Thank you, Dabir. That's great. Actually, the revegetation is never a promise. We do the best we can within the city guidelines. We have 2 different mixes we use, whether it's summer or winter. The contractor has to water it. They have to guarantee it stays alive. I'm quoting my hands there. I think you can see them with my background protection. But the site is going to be much more of a green space than it ever was before. I think in the end result with the higher reliability, the possibly improved water pressure for those 17 people on the hill, the overall project, and the very minimal disruption or visibility even of the project, overall the community is really going to enjoy the end result of this project, I think.
Yep, and with the contractor, they also have a certain level of maintenance for restoring and watering and all of those things once the pre-construction phase comes into account, as Mr. Tiger was saying.
So we have a new question, a new comment posted. It says ESD for Bailey. And so I'm not quite sure what the question would be here. So if this is your comment, if you can kind of add a little more, maybe in your next post another question.
Emily, this is Tiger. If you go back to the map, please.
Sure. Okay, we're back on the map here.
Okay, maybe the customer that proposed the question, usually SD is emergency services, but in this case, maybe they have another acronym in mind.
Okay.
And with these questions, Emily, and with everyone else, there will be a, correct me if I'm wrong, there will be a form that will come out that will provide answers to questions that we may not have been able to answer?
So we will do a record. We are recording this meeting, and we will post a recording of the meeting on the project website, and we will definitely post any additional information on that site if we don't have the information, to answer questions tonight.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, so I just want to let everyone know that if your question doesn't get answered tonight, then there will be something else to where you can go and look for your responses
Hello.
to your questions too. But
Yeah, and I think someone's maybe.
if they're answered tonight, it will come out. Trying to say something.
I'm trying to ask a question.
Okay, go ahead.
I apologize for the interruption, but I can't see your program, and I'm on the telephone. So just to frame this real quick, I understand what you're doing. I live in Westminster Glen, around the corner from Narrow Ridge, and the water pressures along Westminster Glen have dropped significantly in the past several weeks. And in our attempts to try to have that resolved, we called the emergency services number, and we haven't had any response or relief to those questions. Has this project had anything to do with that drop in water pressures?
This project has not started construction, so I don't think there's nothing that's happened with this project that you would already be seeing the effects. I'd be happy to, if you, I think you probably saw our contact information on the invitation for this meeting. If you want to call or email me tomorrow, I'll be happy to follow up and see what's being done about your water pressure complaint.
Terrific.
Yeah.
That is fine. I very much appreciate it.
Sure. Yeah.
The other thing is, I think there are a number of us that are heavily involved in the Firewise community here, trying to keep us from having wildfires. And one thought was that the small standpipe there could be used as backup fire water. But I think from the mechanical drawings I'm seeing right now, the delivery of water and pressure from that 12-inch DI line will actually be far more than the fire trucks could ever get out of that tank. And so I'm assuming that was the same conclusion you all had for fire protection in Glenlake. Is that correct?
That is very correct.
Okay, thank you. I just, it wasn't an aside, because the tank's been there a long time. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question that's been posted is, why are 2 new fire hydrants required? Can someone on the team talk about the 2 new fire hydrants?
Nolan's the most qualified if he's available.
Nolan, can you chime in on that?
Yes, this is Nolan Barbrack. Those would be part of our standard design criteria. We have hydrants I believe it's every 300 feet in kind of high density areas and 600 feet in residential areas. And it just kind of where they're located, it's it's kind of proper area, the Narrow Ridge side where, at the end of the water line before it turns off the street, and then at the Glenlake side is at the end of the cul-de-sac. So those also allow us to do any kind of pressure monitoring or flushing or any kind of just general maintenance as well too. So they're fire hydrants are not just for fighting fires, but they're also used for other maintenance activities.
Thank you. Okay, our next question is, looking toward Narrow Ridge from Glenlake, is the excavation on the right or left of the 911 pass through? So someone who's
It's to the north, northwest. Left or right depends on which way you're facing. So
yeah,
it's
well,
to the
they're saying
northwest.
northwest. So it's on the northwest side is where the excavation will be. Okay. So far we don't have any additional questions posted. I might just ask if our project team has any closing comments. And I'll just give it a few minutes in case someone has a question that they're working to type into the chat box. I think I did have on the screen earlier, and I will go back to it, the contact information for our team. And this information was on the letter you received. It's on our project website as well. We want to be very responsive, and there'll be some disruption during this construction, but we are happy to bring this improvement to your neighborhood. Like Tiger said earlier, improve reliability and kind of modernize this part of the water system.
And again, this is Tiger. Thank you.
I would just like to say, oops, sorry. Go Tiger.
It's quite all right, Demir. We obviously have a little delay, and that's quite all right. I was going to say, as far as noise, this is really one of the lowest intrusive projects. We are required to work within the hours that we have stated, unless it's an emergency, and we're really not expecting too many surprises. Sometimes we know that there are unknowns in the ground. In this case, this is going to be a pretty straightforward project. The community is really going to enjoy what's happening here. This is a significant improvement in redundancy and reliability, and maybe a little more pressure, but certainly fire safety. And thank you, Nolan, for bringing out the fire hydrants are for more than fighting fires. We use them to flush lines, burp air. We use them for all kinds of purposes, and current standards are every 300 feet in most cases, and we're meeting current standards. So every time we touch an old system, we bring it in the same way we're getting rid of that old asbestos concrete. In the 50s, we built lots of pipe with asbestos concrete pipe, and every time we touch it, we get rid of it now. So the community should be very pleased with what's about to be done. And again, we're available for any other further questions.
I don't have any other questions on the line. Zamira, do you want to make the closing comment, and then we'll say goodnight?
Yeah, I would just like to say thank you for everybody calling in to this meeting. And I know it's a different way of us conducting our public outreach meetings, but please feel free to call me anytime on my cell phone number. I see on the presentation that it's the my office number, but the office number is also forwarded to my cell phone number, but it may or may not get there slowly. So I'll also ask that Emily post my cell phone number, because I would rather you all have access to my cell phone number to get any questions to me as soon as possible. And I realized, I know there has been one question from a citizen that has called and contacted me, I believe yesterday. And please forgive me if it's a question that you've already had answered, but I'm still going to follow back up with you. And any other questions that may come through or may have come through already from anyone, I'll still follow back up with you just to make sure you have the information that you need. But I just want you all to know to please use my email address, Demir Wyatt at Yahoo, Demir Wyatt at Demir Wyatt at austintexas.gov. I'm sorry. And we'll post my cell phone number. So I thank you all for taking your time this late in the evening to attend this meeting. And please let us know if you have any kind of problems, or if you have any questions, to contact me.
Mommy, listen! Someone's telling me.
Thank you all so much. Thank you for joining.
That's it. I'm like, that's it before my little boy gets too loud. I apologize for that. Thank you all for being patient with us, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you. We're all juggling the best we can in these unprecedented times. So thank you all for joining. We're going to close out this meeting. Feel free to contact us if you need something in the future. Have a good night, everyone.